We're going to look at a practice problem using ASP.NET for a web form.
We'll be doing a simple
to do
conversion,
something similar to what we did
program
in Windows forms. Just a simple converter from US dollars to Canadian dollars.
The first one in Windows
but I'm going to do this now in
a
web form, so I'm going to do a new project
and do a Windows form
select an
ASP
application
project
on the web
unit
to give it some name, unit to ASP. We're going to look at a little bit of event programming in forms, both in Windows forms. I suggest with these practice problems you don't have to submit them or anything, but I suggest that you do try them out yourself, not just watch the videos, but watch the videos, pause, and then recreate these. What we're going to do is a simple conversion. Going through the steps of programming, writing this, you'll find little US dollars to Canadian dollars, and it'll help you prepare to do the assignments label here. And okay, so here's my web page. I don't get a default for that web page, but a blank page or anything. So I need to go to new item, and I'm going to add a web form text box. I'm just going to call it convert. Call it text box 1, and we're going to change it to txt dollars US. And here's my HTML. Area. And we're going to remember what didn't look before is that I can actually switch into design mode, which is similar to what I had in the. And then we'll have another button. I'm going to switch to design mode. A button here. And so now I'm going to do similar stuff. I have slightly different controls over here, but a lot of the same one. So I'm going to drag a label up here. I'm going to then drag a text box we'll duplicate this text box, and I'm going to add a convert button down below up there. So we and then another label, Canadian, and another text box. So there's our control. I'm going to change some of these things. So this is going to be my US dollars text box. And I'm not going to worry too much about the names of my labels, but I do want to worry about what they say. But controls that I'll be accessing my code, like these text boxes, I do want to change their names just so the code will be a little more readable. And my text boxes, I will change the names of these again to txt US dollars, and the other one to txt Canadian. I'll turn my light on. I'm working outside in the dark here. Okay. Because those I will be accessing. And for now, I'm going to leave the name of the button. Now, I can't that's my only move these around quite as easily as I can. Now there are different layouts. Do anything when I run this. Web pages have some sort of fixed layouts, and we're not going to do too much as far as the web design. Comes up, I can enter numbers here, and I can convert, but it first doesn't do anything. I can also enter numbers down here, and I don't want to be able to enter numbers down here. I just want to be able to enter numbers here, hit convert, and have the numbers show up. The only thing I'm going to do is introduce a couple of spacing. So first let's enter some code on the right here and look at the code. Sometimes it's hard with these controls. So to enter code here, we're going to click at the end of this line. When we click on this button, so if I double click on this button, it'll bring up my code editor, move some of these things, the forms.cs for C#, and it'll create a button click event for me to enter code. US dollars where I'm going to paste in my Canadian dollars and in my convert button. So we're first going to do this a little longer way, and then look at again. And you can actually look at your source code here and see how to convert what HTML is generated here as far as the form. Create a string variable to store my creates all this HTML for you. Again, if you're going to get into HTML a lot, you will want to work with this form mode, or at least a split mode, and be modifying this, especially if you're working with style sheets and all that sort of stuff. But for our work in concentrating more on C# programming, we can focus more on sense. I can start typing it in, the programming involved, the US dollars, and just hit my period. So again, I'm going to want to rest, and I want the text click
attributes. It'll
on the convert button to enter my code.
Semicolon.
So I'm going to double click on that
to get that going.
And similar to before, it brings up
explicitly
my button
convert
one
that
click
string to
event.
a double. So I'm going to declare another
I walked
variable
through in the Windows Forms one this code, and I can, assuming I've got the exact same names for my text boxes, I can enter the same code in here as I did in that. So if you want an explanation for this code, you should watch the Windows Forms version of this converter.
I'm going to type
but I'm going to enter the exact same code. That's one thing that's cool about this, and while we will be doing both, looking at both the ASP, the server pages, and the Windows Forms, is that a lot of the code will be the same.
We'll do this for you.
So now if I run this,
the best it can, but you have to be
it should run in a web page rather than
now I'm going
to declare another double variable for my Canadian dollars. And I'm going to just take the US dollars times, let's look. So my web page is coming up here. See what the conversion rate is. So now my web page is up here, and I can enter a value here. US dollars. Hit convert. Multiply. Now it's going to take longer because again this is running some server side, so it's sending it out to the server, which is they're running a pretend server on this machine. I'm going to convert that to another string. So I'm, again, declaring these variables and setting them at each time. Now I could declare a variable from the same code and then set it. So that ends this second part
like
of
that.
the convert. But like I said, I've been doing this all in one line to make it a little shorter. So now I'm going to convert to a string. So I'm going to use my convert function again. Go down and select the to string. And then put my Canadian value in here. And then finally I'm going to store that result in my text box, txt Canadian dollars. So this is another reason why it's nice to have good names for your text boxes you'll be using. And I'm going to select text and set that equal to string can. So yep, all my errors have gone away, so hopefully this will run fine. Clean up a couple blank lines here. And now let's run this program. So if I have $25 converted, it's $26.25 Canadian. Two things I want to change. I want to disable this so I can't edit. I don't want to be able to type in text there. And then I want to look at some shorter ways. But let's first just do go back and switch, because I'd like to see, now I have these two windows, the CIS and the CIS design window open, and I can jump back and forth between these. So if I want to edit the form, I go into the design mode, click on the form, and I'm going to do the, what is it, enabled, and set that to false so that the user can't type in information here. Now I'm going to go back. Now if I want to go back, I can just switch back here, or I could just double click on my convert button to get back to that specific method. And now I can clean this up a little bit. I'm converting to a string. I don't necessarily have to do that because this is already basically a string, so I could eliminate some of this stuff and not have so many intermediate variables here. Same here, when I do this conversion, I can just store it explicitly out here and get rid of this line. So again, you can clean this up and get it down to fewer lines. So now I have set number of lines here, and I could even reduce this more. I can get rid of this line, do the conversion, the multiplication right here. But you can just see how the code works. But one thing that's nice about at first writing some of the code out is looking at the explicit conversions, because sometimes when you get these longer lines, especially when you're a beginning coder, it's hard to parse them and to realize what this all does. So I recommend when you start coding, start simple with lots of lines, and then you can combine them into more complicated lines as you get better at programming. So I'm going to save this, and that wraps up the simple converter. And then we'll also do this as a web page. So